I'm Hui Ping. Jennifer and I work at the gallery, and with this show, we were so delighted and very honored to have Brooke Walker help us to put the show together. So if it is good, we give the credit to the artist and Brooke. Thank you. Putting, pulling all this together. I kind of lose count how many one-person shows we have had here with Yuji, and it's always a delight. I couldn't say a total surprise because it's his work. When you see his work once, you can spot it 50 yards away. Oh, there's a piece there. It's delightful, it's free, it's with energy. Okay, now, it's like in a classroom. Give me more words of what do you think? Whimsical, humor, and distinctive. How about colors? Oh, wow. And
lots of patterns.
a lot of patterns.
A lot of patterns, a lot of color.
Composition-wise, are they real?
Sort of fantastic.
Yes and no.
There's a little bit surrealism into his work. So, there are a lot of wonderful ways we can describe his work. So I'm not going to take all the time to describe his work, because really, the more you look, the more you get them, you get out of it. Yeah. And then next time you go back and say, oh wow, I missed that part. It's fun and surprise. So I first heard of Yuji in 1993, 1994, Gordon Gilkey, the well-known Prince of the Prince at Foreign Art Museum, and told me about you got to meet this guy. You got to meet this guy. He's real. So I have really the privilege to get to know Yuji and his work. Yuji came to Oregon State. For those dogs, it's okay. With the neighbors. 1992, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you come to this country in the 80s?
85.
So we are immigrants. I came a year before you did. So
Is that right?
yeah, so I'm a little bit older. And so he's been in Indiana and New Mexico, and we're in Colorado. He taught at Colorado.
College.
Those R and L. I'm not.
No TAs.
And retired about 3 years ago.
Yeah, when I was talking to someone, 65, that time I was just quit. So that was
I didn't ask your age. I asked you retired about 3 years ago.
Anyway, more than that.
Oh, more than that. Okay.
I wanted to save my energy for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
doing fun stuff. So
For your art, for your family, and
while my body is good, the brain's good, I don't burn out.
so I should give the rest of time to Yuji. So if you think about questions, think about what you want to know, and I also ask Yuji to give us just a little bit technical parts of how he made this wonderful work of art and with patterns, with colors, okay?
All right. I'm I'm here again since the, I don't know, 5 years ago I had a show. When do you remember when I had a show here?
2022.
Hmm?
2022.
Okay.
4 years ago.
So, what I wanted to say was so I brought artworks since the last show, so I tried to make sure, I saw that last time, so that's, I hope I don't have it, and I just made sure, everything is kind of new, last 4 or 5 years, daily. Anyway, so I'm glad, they're having a show, I'm honored and then, excited this month. They gave me a time and their space, and so that's why I brought this. And then let's see what I can say. They talk about those life or whatever. How I ending up here is as I said, 85 I came here, and then 92 OSU. So 7 years, grad school or teaching the other institutions. That's how I got OSU, and then since then I taught printmaking, just printmaking, drawing kind of courses. That was COVID did it. I was talking, the reason or motivations, that I don't know, pandemic. How 5, 6 years ago?
2020, 6 years.
Yeah, so all the faculty, not just me or the art program, everyone, forced to do remote teaching. Printmaking and remote doesn't go well. So any student in not hurry, they were not taking class. When the pandemic is over, I'm gonna take your class because over the computer screen, or do the etching or do the lithography, kind of a joke. So anyway, so that was, it's about time. On the other hand, those digital media was, they're, booming, and those that okay, art history or a digital photo or graphic design, they are able to maintain that kind of a quality in person versus the Zoom. So they didn't have not much, but a little bit, of course, difference. So anyway, but printmaking hit hard for those hands-on stuff, tactile stuff, and then so I kind of frustrated, so that's why I created it. But anyway, so since I retired, I still teach workshop here, there, between, most are in states, sometimes go out. Then I teach this technique or the hand printing, where they have no access to the print studio. I teach a woodwork, mokuhanga, we call water-based. So that's kind of two things. I just travel here, there, and then post. I was in last, few workshops, Seattle to Colorado, kind of, It's a good, way to, interact and fresh air, not just hermit, sitting there, hours, staying in the studio 24/7. So like this also, have a show and then, see the new people. So that was, good. Still, I'm doing, keep up my activities. So that's who I am. But I think you like to see the, a little bit, HP, UP, explain, what is this content, So most of the things, it's all correct, whimsical or happy or, so, but I like a little bit, go over, and then have some information also in the process. But basically, she said, and you already pointed out, what you see, what you get, very narrative. In a sense, has a story, but story could be different by individual, by viewers, So that's also just ambiguous, little bit, open. But figures, of course, my main theme. Some you see the, still life to, the other element, but the most figure is center. And then adding some embellishing the, figure with the other flowers or animals kind of things. I like the fashions. So that's why, like pattern, someone said, or that she pointed out, or that someone pointed out. Design, fashion kind of thing. So that's always I'm looking into what texture, fabric. I just go like a thrift store and then wherever interesting stuff, I just pick up kind of things. What nowadays online, like we call like Pinterest. It's just like all kinds of things. Some are copyright free, so I just get inspired from that. Those are the ones technique, pre-making technique. This is my technique. You don't need to copy or draw manually. We have a technique, transfer technique. So somewhat, like I would pick up right kind of things, process it, and boom, the cover plate, it transfers, So that's I've been using that kind of ideas also. I like say, the top to bottom, like a head to hairstyle to, sometimes put some funny things in chroma key out, like shoes. So those entire figure, I like the interesting decorating. Adding also the gesture, it's most like a figure. It doesn't have like that kind of, ID mugshot kind of stuff. So there's some kind of like actions, often gesture, fingers that like you see it, most of the time, most of the pictures, so like these or these, right? Anyway, and then the face has no features, always no eyes, always question comes, and then just I'm shy, adding eye straight, so that's, just leave it mysterious kind of things, and then you can kind of like, interpret, like who she is or he is kind of things, and looking at you and looking down or looking up or closing eyes, kind of like a little mysterious kind of things. And the fingers, often like a little bit red. And that's also many people questions, why we are fingers always, the red or pink. Because they are things you touch, feel. You don't touch like this, you feel with the finger first, so that's also, important, like most sensitive areas, so I just emphasize. Also the compositions, if you have a hands and hands, if you have a this, and if you have a same color, it can't give that little, differentiation, this one. So I put the, red here, so all that's fingers. And, but on the other hand, it contradicts, but also my figure, my image, sometimes very flat and graphic, there's no shade or shadows or three-dimensional aspect, bright. And then I look up lots of ukiyo-e prints, Japanese woodblock, like figures from there, have the same kind of aspect, very flat, but decorative, simple, but sometimes exaggerated, funny, whimsical also, and kind of things. I add those to my, the image. And, sometimes I play with the title also, I don't want to do the art piece 1926 or 26 and then X, some people have abstract art book maybe, I just make a funny title sometimes, then some people, they don't understand that's okay, because that's my story, putting down my title kind of stuff, but if you want here, I can explain why, or someone no reason, just if sounds interesting, so I did it, or some are just let's see, picture, just showing or depicting, so what you see, maybe kind of things, Anyway, so some are straight, some are more like ambiguous also, what I can say, the colors are bright, yes, and then that's going to the little bit, technical, aspect, those kind of like visuals, But anyway, I like the etching also, I like what they tend to get a little muddy or they are a little dark. It's a nature of the material, you know. I see the Hamanishi over there, you know, the tiny prints. That's the color prints, but you can see it. It's spring. You know, he's a famous guy. He has an art institute, you know, Chicago. He had a big show or having a show. That kind of big, you know. But the color-wise, look at that. It's different, you know. I don't see the bright color, you know. That's the nature of the copper. You know, it's a science. When you have a copper and you put the color, oxidize, you know, chemistry, some kind of things happen. So if it's a plexiglass glass and put the ink and mix it, ink stays the same, transfer the paper, same ink, same color. But you have a copper plate and you mix the ink or whatever, do the things on the copper, and then when you pick up that ink and transfer the paper, it's changing. You know, what is the lighter color does a lot of difference. Darker color, not much. Because when you do this, you can start seeing them like a finger getting dark, you know. It's oxidation, like a fresh copper is like bright, like an old penny, new penny or old penny. I mean, you know, confusing. But when you get the years, you know, like a use, you know, penny turns like a dark, you know, and that's also, you know, color changing. But anyway, so the yellow or you know, like a pink or you know white, definitely, you know, like getting dark. You know, it doesn't get the yellow from the paint or ink from the can and then copper plate, then paper, it's changing like green, you know. So that's the problem, you know. Then I try, you know, I do minimize that aspect. I do my best to not happening. So I do a lot of tricks, you know. But anyway, so that's intentionally I keep the copper and then printing color ink bright. So that's the little, you know, like a difference from the other copper etching artists also, you know. They are, maybe though, that's my understanding, you know, because you can get, you know, like a nice, very subdued, you know, like a subtle, beautiful though, also, you know, those are the nice copper etching, beautiful color prints. But mine's try to get a little bit bright aspect, like a ukiyo-e prints. That's the way. I use like a 4x4 color printing. Black and yellow, red, blue, kind of like commercial printing. They do same ideas. You know, we call CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, key, black. That combined, you get lots of colors. That kind of ideas, you know. So I do same ideas, but I do manual mine, black, manual, you know, or my own magenta, not the, you know, the what you call the. Commercial printing, you know, those colors, you know. So I just blend, you know, my red, blue, yellow, and then blend these. You know, sometimes yellowish, more bluish kind of things by hand printing. Sometimes those are the things changing by changing the other company's, you know, product. Oh, usually that's kind of light. Usually that's bright. You know, sometimes I have no reasons, you know. Not sometimes sometimes I got a new product, I use it. And then ending up brighter, you know, a little lighter kind of things, you know, and they just print it, you know. It's fun, you know, it's nowadays, you know, they are, back then, like I know, when I started, nothing was water-based, but now those inks I use, water-based ink, water-soluble ink, and then like 15 years ago, it started coming at only one company, and that was terrible. No one liked it, you know, horrible product. But company improving every year, you know, new product, better. Well, also next company, you know, company from overseas start joining those color printing with the water-based printing ink, you know. So I start using, I want to use that ink, I want to use this ink. So that's kind of options that happening. It's good, you know. So that's the sometimes A company's ink, I use B company's ink, so you can see the little different kind of things, you know. I don't know. Sometimes, you know, I like a setting also, you know, like this. right? It says this is a new, 26, figure, but has some kind of like, backdrop, like, it says circus carnival, so, right, and that's, some are not, well, some are, indoor, but this was also a little bit, there. I was using this circus tent symbols, these diamond shape, that also, okay, but anyway, so some, interesting, I just put it here and then comes back. I have a drawers, my brain, physical drawers, computers, or any of those, what I'm gonna do, I like your shoes, by the way. Look at stuff.
My wife bought them for me.
They pay attention to what people do, Right. Anyway, so it's always get inspired, Anyway, so that's pretty much, memory box or such things, So I use it when the time comes. Okay, let's try that. Interesting. So I use it. Kind of like nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. What is this? But I like a tiara, but there are different tiara. Let's make it kind of things. I like a flower. This is kind of new. Last 5 years or so. 4 or 5 years. Blocking the face with their object, mostly like flowers. So that's kind of like a patterns I start making. And I may do it more, a few more, then I get bored, I just quit it kind of stuff, But before then, I like their wings, so I did many wings before then. Still, this is a 25, so it's still I'm doing time. But
Dragonfly wings.
any wings, that's like a 15 years I've been doing, and then angel wings, all kind of, this is a little bit wings, you see it, Especially like a larger size, not bigger than this, I do a lot, not this size, So that's kind of my theme was, okay. Sometimes I like the space also like this, like this, like the videos, and we have a few more of those kind of things. Space up in the air, kind of stuff, Okay, so that's maybe, just aspect, but you are free to interfere questions, it's not the end, so part one now, So here, welcome to see it, cup up like this, it's a mirror image when you're printing it, so that's the cup up like, Okay. This is a blue, last color, So when you put the blue, and then this has already like a black, yellow, red, So I put the blue and finished it. The color also, those, commercial printing ideas, those printing, try to get the max color. It's not just, 4 color, black, red, blue, yellow. No, yellow and then red makes orange, or right, blue and then red makes purple. Kind of like secondary color we call. Try to improve those colors, so the outcome is very complex ideas, not just the 3 colors, Also, the more complicated, like etching, I do that shade change. So the commercial printing same, they are the red, magenta is magenta. Full body is very dark, burgundy, Okay. Then that the 10 part of the full body of the magenta ink, but apply a little bit thinner or lighter kind of stuff, then you can make dark red to the shallow pink. It's not adding white though, just amount of the pigment, The blue same, like what you call cyan. Cyan itself is kind of like a dark, let's say, my blue, Prussian blue, let's say, or midnight blue. But by thinning down, adding a less, you get like a sky blue, So those combinations, lots like they are. If you have a 3 part of the red, and then let's say full body of the yellow, then very limeish green. But if you have, is that right, red? Yeah, blue, yeah. anyway, those kind of combinations, you know, you can make like a darkish green or lightish green or orangey, reddish orange, or all kinds of stuff, endless, you know, brown, all kinds of things. That makes much more complicated, you know, complex, you know. Etching only can do it, you know, they are, you know, lithography can, but relief, it's not easy because relief is kind of flat, you know, on and off, so red or no red. So there's no 10% of red and 80% of the green, green or, you know, like blue can do it, you know. So that's, you know, here is a light red, you know, dark red, kind of things. Yellow doesn't make a much difference because the range is very short, you know. You know, blue or black, of course, you know, like a, you know, gray, you know, lots of shade, but, you know, yellow is like kind of two shades you can recognize, you know. But when you do the push, you know, red, you can make a lot of different red, you know, from one ink, you know. Okay.
Are you thinning down with water?
No, the
thinning down
question
with?
though, we don't do the water extender. I just use the amount of the ink on the copper.
Oh.
So copper is physically like this, you know, etch deep, more ink goes there. Etch light, very light, shallow, this ink. So that combination, you know. And then for that first time you try, you know, I like to go, oh, you should make a pink here. So here pink, right? So that's a pink. So you made a, you know, that magenta and then white. No, this is a very shallow etching of the other magenta with the paper's white. So like a watercolor, you know, not adding watercolor with white. You just controlled by the color of the paper, right? It's getting very muddy. You can try it, you know. You can make a, you know, like the creamy yellow. Okay, how you gonna do it? Okay, yellow and white. Mix it and then put in a copper plate, and you have to wipe off extra ink, you know. But when you print it, it's gray. It's terrible. It's not cream. Yeah, it's nothing wrong, you know. It's a different things you're doing, you know. That happens if I do it, and then master does it, you know, whatever. It's nature of the, you know, the science, you know, process. Nothing you can do, except the we call like the coding, you know. That's more technical aspect, you know. But the cover plate, right? So when you do this, you know, yellow wiping and then print it. Okay, wiping means, you know, the wiping of the excess ink from the surface, and the ink stays wherever you etched it. So wiping and then clean it, and the ink stays wherever they etched, and then press the paper and pastel press. Yellow goes like yellow, green, dark, you know. But the other way to avoid, you mean steel facing, coating this with the other metal, which doesn't interfere those copper's, you know, oxidations, you know, which is usually with the steel, you know. So when you put in the steel facing, this we call, you know, I can do it, you know, at home, have a place in the Portland kind of place. And then printed yellow turns same yellow from the can. It doesn't change, you know. So some people do it, you know, and then they enjoy it, of course, you know, but expensive, you know, like a per square inch, how much you have to pay back. Anyway, so that's okay. Here's, so finally, here's the little bit I show you how I print order kind of things.
How cool.
Then Q&A, maybe if you like, you know, so yeah, maybe you can hold like face hiding person, like do it this way, yeah, that way. So first I do the black, you know.
First is the black.
Right? So that's black. By the way, I print on this kind of paper. What is this kind of paper? It's a Japanese kozo, not rice paper, you know, but they commonly over the phone or, you know, the email, or they communicate, you know, rice paper, you correspond, that's this paper, but nothing with rice. It's a mulberry paper I use it. Very strong. And then, right?
So that's the first printing.
first. I need to make a, like a key, we call it the main, like an image, like a coloring book, This is my way though, so
Cartoon.
it's not other people. My way is this, I make a blood first. Then I start thinking, here goes, the peach, here goes yellow, here goes green, kind of things, The image is smaller than the copper plate. Copper plate is this, left to right, right? These are just a line up for their registration, we call it, color printing. So that's easy to line up, okay. And this paper, when you're printing, I have to mist it. Okay, when you mist this, it's transparent. So I can see through the, when you put the ink and when you do it, you can see through what's going on. So I just line up. So very easy.
Very easy.
Very
easy. Yeah. You try.
See, the problem with yellow is like no one can tell what's going on about that.
Right, right.
Right, so I'm gonna skip it, but I made a 2 shades. I don't wanna push, usually I wanna make a 5 different shades of the yellow. That you're wasting time. And just two yellows enough, because you can't tell it anymore. But if you have a blue or other color, red, both do it. So that's yellow and black. Right. I print all the way to the end on this paper, not mounting or such a things. And then here's the other red plate. So red has a little bit dark right, you can see it, But also, like what kind of ink each time I have to think about, I want to use this time, like A company's ink or B company's ink. I try to use a test print, and then, I like that ink, I don't like that ink, kind of stuff, aesthetics. Or sometimes it doesn't work and this ink is too stiff, it rips the paper, it can't be used, this kind of stuff. Anyway, so that's, make a decision what kind of red, and then did it. And then, these are the yellow, red, black. Start showing a little orangey shade kind of things. Mine's are, I said bright, but still like watercolorish, like kind of light, so that I can overlap. They are, if it's opaque, it doesn't overlap. Like screen printing, yellow put the, like the, over there the red. It doesn't change the orange. It's yellow, kind of covered, But this technique, when you have a red underneath and put the blue, it turns purple. Kind of things, So that's the red, and then I do the blue. So that's the blue. Again, what kind of blue? A company, B company, Prussian blue, what the other, midnight blue, pharaoh blue, all kind of blue. I have in my shop studio, and just test print, and then this blue works good. I don't like that blue kind of things, And do the additions. And that's the end. So 4 color came. Black, yellow, red, blue. No? Black, yellow, red, blue, yeah. So purplish shade, orangey shade, or red, dark yellow, or dark red, blue, darker red, green, darker green kind of things,
And each color has its own plate.
Yeah, Some people confuse, so you put the blue here, red there. No, I use one plate, one blue. One plate, one red kind of things. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. I do make a lot of mistake, unfortunately. So it shifts, or sometimes forget to wipe some portion too dark or too light, wipe too much. So I have to make if you want to do like a 15 edition, I make a start like a 20, 25 edition start, then ending up 15, good one kind of things.
And then do you do like 15 blacks and then move to the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
color?
yeah, correct. Mhm.
You don't just.
Today 15, black, black,
Okay.
black, 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 and then take a break. Usually, it takes time. Workshop is very hard, you know, when I do the 3-day, 4-day workshop, we have to go boom, 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 you know, but in the reality, it needs a time for ink to dry, you know. Ink need a time to dry, so if we don't wait it, you know, and the printing, you know, like few hours later, you print it, you know, like a black, it get muddy, you know, so that's a little bit hard to, you know, like pick what kind of ink dries quick, fast, you know, less muddy or easy to wipe. So myself, when I do the one printing, I just leave it, you know, 1 week to 10 days, not doing anything, you know, at least, you know. I'm doing other things, other projects. And then 10 days later, it looks like a dry, then move on to next color or next plate kind of stuff, you know. But the workshop, as I said, finish it, you gotta make a, you know, like a blue plate now, let's print it, you know, tomorrow's the last day, printing, you know, kind of stuff. But at least they get some ideas, but I tell you, like, don't do it at home, you know, you better wait it each time, you know. So that's, the same series here, you know, like that's the black, these, right? Also, I like to go, you know, like show the little painterly loose aspect, you know, because the etching, not black and white, but the color included as well, you know, can get more like a tight and pen and ink like aspect, you know. And then a little bit, I like to get, you know, this kind of loose painterly aspect. So we have a technique, you know, just using a brush gesture kind of things. Sometimes I do a lot. And then yellow here, can't tell, so I don't want to ponder too long. I move on yellow, and then that yellow and black.
So yellow's the first color after black
Yeah,
that you put down?
That's my way. Again, once some other
My
artists,
way.
they don't like that. You know, they want to use the color first and black comes last. Yellow. This is a red. And red. So next to the red and the yellow and you know that. This is the next. Alright. And then blue and then finish. About a month usually takes. But I just don't stay, you know, as I mentioned, in like a one piece, 1 month. I have like a few projects, you know, this, just a rotate, you know. So sometimes it takes 3 months to finish, but at the end of the project, I have 3 pieces, 4 pieces finishing in that time, you know, but January, I make 0 prints, or in progress, you know, and then February, still no prints coming, and then March, I have 3 prints finished, kind of stuff, you know. And then just rotate and finish together and start moving on another project. That's it from me. I'm sure, you know, if you have any Q&A kind of things, you know, I'll do my best to answer, yes.
You say you rub it out, you have to re-ink the plate each side.
Re-ink the plate each time.
Oh, yes. So that's the, okay, so things improving the life, technologies, okay. So a lot of things can be replaced by the machines. Okay, so now, like a lithography, now the offset print we call, you know, the machine has inking, you know. Even like screen printing, they have an automated squeeze, you call, you know. We don't need to do this, you know. But the leaf print is not big deal, roll around the ink, just go like that. The etching, you know, I wish someone will, you know, invent wiping. You can research it. There's no.
Show us your hand.
There's no machine does it so far, I know. I have to do, everyone, we have to do by hand, because those kind of like soft nuances is the artist kind of like the talent, whatever, like you wipe, Mr. A wipes that, same one plate, and Mr. B, Mrs. X wipes all different. And that's the character, and then that outcome like this. So I wipe my way and my kind of like pressure kind of things, So it's very important, but very labor intense. So ink it, print it, and then no ink on the plate again. So I have to add more ink, repeat, So the printing takes like a few days sometimes, If you do that one block, today I finish 5, tomorrow 5, 1 week, so I print 25 kind of things, So anyway, it's not easy, but that also, I guess that's why I like it kind of things, always exciting, yeah.
What's the biggest size edition that you do?
Edition big, when I got the commission, I do like 100
Oh, wow.
edition. We don't have here,
How
I have
many
my own.
does he do at a time? It says 100
most
for a
of the
commission.
these are about
That-
15.
That one is the edition 100. Plus they require like the 20 APs, so I put like a 150, 150, I was not sure, Hamanish did same commission after I did it this year, he is commissioned, that organization, so I did last year, and then, so I'm sure he can do it, but anyway, so those are very labor intense, but they are, if you get careful, you can put the that's very shallow aqua, it still, last like 100, 150, for me though, and then, anyway, I documented, and they wanted video kind of stuff, Those are the ones, they are the print craft, the East Coast, they have a print craft member, like collectors group, They annually assign, today, this year's artist, Yuji, and then he gonna make, like 100 for the print craft, excess craft, like members, kind of things, for that.
Barbara.
So you have many colors that you're thinking about as you envision this piece. Do you test the colors going together on test
Yeah.
pieces? You must, so you're happy by the time you're doing the whole series.
Right.
You've done many tests. So
Okay.
Do you find happy surprises?
Yeah, okay, so that's also, they are, I kind of understand, like your first question, but like a little bit late, so when I do the workshop, those are the ones, I've done the etching, and then I know, how to do the etching, that's important, starting with. But I'm taking class because you do interesting color printing, that's why I do it, but I'm taking, students says. So that point is the ones, I know my way, and then what color is next kind of stuff, and I do like test prints, and then we go, proof print, and then make sure this is good or not. But in order to do that, you need to make a right kind of plate, where goes the yellow, where goes blue, those kind of characters, I can do it with my hair, because I've been doing this like, 40, 50 years, this system, and that's why I said my way, I don't think if I change, Yuji, you are not required to make, this print with the black first. This is the requirement, like, some class, and then, I was told, big guys, and then I was forced to make a yellow first, blue first, second, red third, and the black last. Then I have a lot of troubles that happen because I never done. So I don't know. It takes like 5 times more than that time I do my way. Try and error. But I'm sure I can do it. And maybe it's a different outcome. But so the point is, my way is kind of easy. Even though I need to see it. I print it and then I leave it overnight and then test print, and then next day when I look again and I just edit, edit means it's not easy to change. Kappa is not like a drawing a paper, so the change could be minimum, just erasing, adding, but still I can do just a little bit, the different ink or kind of things. So that's I do a lot. But for the beginners, like first time taking this color printing with me, I tell the student, you better bring like a watercolor, like on the full color, on the palette, and then black, and then just paint it on your image, and then see, then I can tell you, oh, here's green, so you make a yellow plate there and then blue plate there. If you forget, it doesn't go green kind of stuff, Oh, I missed it. I wanted to go orange. And you have a kind of yellow, but I forgot to make a red plate there, so it turns like just a yellow kind of stuff. But I know myself, so I don't miss it. Well, if I miss it, I can fix it. But anyway, so that's how. It's a little challenging for the first time. But I feel comfortable what I do. It takes time though. Black and white test, on the print physically, it doesn't require time. Of course, mentally, black and white artists, it's not easy usually. What are you talking about? Maybe they have a lot of challenge, struggle, but I have print 4 times, and then those plates in the black and white, we just want very carefully printing black, beautiful black, so that's a little different.
Can I ask you about this picture?
Picture, yeah?
How do you choose the model? How do you choose the setting? How do you choose the objects that go
Yeah,
into the
okay,
picture?
so it's-
Is it satire? Do you use symbolism? What do I look
Or
at?
the mixture, yeah. So now I see the here also has a title, right? It says hot club sale. What that means, The hot is the horticulture. So some people get it, some people, oh, now I see it, So this is the Japanese high school girl or the middle school girl in Engeibu. I don't know how many people knows the Japanese, Engeibu means the horticulture, kind of like, group people, And then they grow the plant kind of stuff, Here same, and then they are on sale. So that's their product selling by anyway. So. But again, not like cryptic, kind of message kind of stuff. But some are, of course, they are just for the fun. But like I said, this is a very typical, like a Japanese, the uniform for the middle school, high school girls, So that's one. So anyway, my background, my cultural background, putting that. Those are a little bit Japanese, the screen. Rice paper, we call it again rice paper, no glasses, but paper, screen shoji, kind of little bit, right? Well, those are very Asian, pot, base, whatever we call, right? And then the flowers are also, this has if you have a time, that very corner, tiny prints, the bottom one, it's same flower. So I decided a lot of kind of the visual element. If I like it, so you can say, oh, that flower looks like
If I
it's
like it.
true, so that's, I just did it, tiny ones, here. But these are all made up. It's never exist in the scientific botany. It's usually hybrid, I intentionally change, sometimes this flower looks like exists, looks like, like a chrysanthemum, whatever, okay, let's say. But I don't want to be like that, so I change the, stem with other plant kind of stuff. But just having fun, it's not like serious art book in that aspect, So it's wrong when someone said, yeah, that's true, that's my creation, my flower, That's the other toy things, what do you call that things,
Magic 8 ball?
Yeah, right. And then what do you call that? That sand cloth, what?
Hourglass.
Yeah, prepaid. Floating in the water and then that. Anyway, sometimes has a meaning, but sometimes I like to put a lot of like a fun stuff for the busy. Sometimes I try to limit myself. Don't put too much, Yuji. But once you get in that, I want to put this, that, this.
That's
Ending
funny.
up a lot of busy image. That's me. So why not? And the color, like I say, this one is from the circus tent. So a little bit like a reference. Also you see that right behind that big picture have the same pattern diamond red. So anyway, I decided to reuse anything I like it. So something. Oh yeah, that shape is from there, and kind of stuff. So I cannot make always new. My brain is not that fresh, so just I put that image A and then from here the image B and put together kind of stuff, maybe those kind of stuff. Funny things, right? This one I think inspired by duck hunting, right? Put the duck decoy, right? Try to emphasize the center, so just the leaves, spreading from the center. Yeah, somehow the kind of like a deep. I don't think deep, but there's some kind of whimsical, a little bit my experience, fun experience from the past, I put together kind of things. Right? Anything?
Well, yes, and looking through the entire show, it seems that you have a kind of infinity for ladies, birds, and flowers.
Okay, yeah.
And I was taken by the one just around the corner, which is biosatellite orbiting the moon, where
Which one?
the woman
Oh, this
appears.
guy?
Yes, that
Yeah,
one.
okay, yes.
Where she appears to be riding a head of vegetables,
Right.
and she's sprouting vegetable wings.
Let me see.
Bring that over.
That may be wrong, or maybe right. Get different. Okay, so,
I love it.
okay, so,
Yeah.
okay, anyway, the few things, he mentioned what someone already understand, has everything, Figures tend to get more like female-ish, some ambiguous,
Mhm.
It's figure itself. This gender is not basically my main focus. I like woman, of course, but that's different, The those figures can make a lot of like put those things, because they are earrings. I enjoy those kind of garment, fashions, and ending up female figure-ish, and the hats, shoes, so those ideas, ending up those, it looks like figure-ish, they are female-ish, like this, kind of funny, This is a napa. Napa means like a Chinese cabbage.
Shit.
And then this one was also this one, kind of. I want a little space, up in the sky space. So this has a sun, kind of ornament, and then this basket has a little bit like what do you call the radish kind of thing, beads. But this has also, it's a planet, And then, very bottom, it says orbiting the moon. That's the moon.
Oh,
Ah, okay.
And this one is a biosatellite, so they are kind of organic satellite spinning around the moon, you know. Okay. And then this is a free rider, you know, hitchhiker. That's a very symbolic, it's not a realistic observation bird, you know. Like this bird shows again here, you know. Again, we use it over and over, right? But this one again, like a same, I think this format, they are kind of stage setting kind of things, you know, so I have the curtains, right? Little shy, not sure what she's writing or he's writing, but right? Still, I was, you know, aspect the wings, you know, so napa leaves, you know, the vegetable leaf, you know, leaf.
Her cheek looks like a cherry.
What is it?
The cheek looks like a cherry.
Oh, the hair. That's
Yeah.
my trademark recently. last 10, I started doing this, you know.
The cheek.
The cheek,
Yeah, for sure. You have a technique.
You know, this
For sure.
Irish kind of things. It's my style, kind of like a, let's say, trademark, you know. How to stop it? I like it. You know? Okay, I don't know what is, you know, and then again, those kind of pair goes like, you know, there's a planet kind of things, and then same things. This is a meteor, you know, writing this, you know, meteor writer, so that's the meteor. Right, okay.
Can you talk a little bit about the hand gestures? I mean, they really seem so.
Yeah, it's particularly these kind of goes pair kind of things, you know. A little bit shyness, and then this,
Yeah.
right?
I see a piece I want to
You know, not sure, not confident, or the kind of ideas, you know, these, especially these, you know, of course these are nothing but the other, you know, cups. That's also an anxiety, you know. Well, anyway, has a little bit your own meaning, could be your meaning, which is fine, and then just give like, you know, what this gesture means, that's yours, you know, so however you see, oh, she must be waiting something, or they, you know, she's worried about, it could be yes, yes, kind of stuff, you know, it's your interpretation is all correct, basically.
You said you've been doing this for 40 or 50 years, so during that period of time, what's changed? What have you adopted? The format, size change?
Yeah, okay, so 50 years, what I'm talking, you know, I start doing this in Japan, I was, even like high school, you know, I was exposed to this printmaking media. And then that time, you know, I was not into it, but at least, you know, like I learned it. But those kind of teenage, you know, can't focus anything, you know, so. But the time 18, like, what do you want to do? I like art, so I went to the, you know, art education program in Japan, you know, in Tokyo. And I did more printmaking at that time. Then graduated in Tokyo, you know, like 20, my age of 23, you know. So that point, you know, I was kicked out because, you know, the problem is like everyone here, that's still the same, you know. I don't have any studio facility at that point anymore, you know. I was doing the printmaking at university in Tokyo. So that's done. What are you gonna do? So next step is, you know, try to find a co-op. You know, here at Wilker. I don't know how many people know, you know. Anyway, they are printmakers, you know, like a society or the group, you know, where you can get the studio access. So that's the next step, you know. So first, you know, like I start looking for one, then find one. But the point, you know, I start, you know, going to those, you know, studio access or the, you know, public or the co-op. There was one I was doing missing, which was, I was doing lithography, you know, in the college. There's stone you know, plate lithography. That was my kind of focus. I had a good time, you know. But still the same, the States, you know, in Japan, same, you know, there's not much litho access, in public, So I gave up, looking for the list of printing press or the process shop. So I switched to etching. That time, okay, what happened? The time I was doing lithography, I was doing color printing already. So I was doing, like a 4-plate or 4-stone, whatever, like a 4-color or 5-color lithography. So there's no question, going back to the black and white etching. So I started, color plate, color etching. That's how I started, It's been like that. And I learned how to do this and, in Japan, how to do the printing, just, those washi paper, shinkore, the thin paper. That's how I started. So the technique, since then, it's not changed. But the subject is, when I was young, so, it's changed, like even when I did abstract, all kind of other thing. And then when I moved to here, 85, somewhat, started going to grad school and then learning more like ideas also, and then me as a, came from Japan, like what kind of, like a style I should heading kind of start thinking. And then, well, I like to ukiyo-e prints kind of things. They always ask, when I talk in those group, like, hey Yuji, you from Japan, I collect ukiyo-e prints, but in Japan I didn't care, of course, So I started learning here, what is it, ukiyo-e prints? Why so good? Why so funny, But anyway, so I started looking up, and oh yeah, that looks nice color. Okay, I maybe just, get inspired from that aspect. That's why here with the bright color, very flat kind of things. That's who I am now.
Mary has an image of the collection.
This was
just
early.
Right. Okay. So that's why 87. I did the Indiana, Bloomington. So it's still not that different,
I think it's different.
A little different, but
there are a lot of more elements
Yes.
into your work now. And
so that's the 92, 3,
this
95,
94.
94.
And I think I
The big head,
see more, more sort of the.
Portfolio kind of things.
Here's my breakfast on the bed. You remember that one?
Yeah. That's also like inspired by the Manet, the Olympia,
Uh-huh,
the painting.
the painting, right.
Each picture, if you ask, somewhat has a kind of like, where this came from, not all, but this part is from there, here, kind of things,
And your naming too, I'm glad it's not breakfast in bed, it's breakfast on the bed.
Yeah.
A twist.
A little bit twisted, but anyway, so that's, always, I'm still looking for, something new, where my resources, ideas, and then, if I like it, I just put it in my hair, and then I'm ready for the next project. Oh yeah, let's put that idea kind of stuff.
Well, Yuji will be here, so if you have other questions,
Okay.
I'm sure he'll be very happy to talk to you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you,
you can tell
Yuji.
what a fun person, and a lot of ideas, imaginations coming out from this artist. It really is hard to nail him down. Where did you get that idea? He's evolving, he's changing, he brings a lot of joy to us, and let's look at his work, have a glass of wine and some.
Thank you. Thank you.